The Zarkonian fleet moved silently through the dark void of space. Their massive ships, shaped like sharp arrowheads, glided past stars and planets. At the head of the fleet was the flagship, Conqueror. Inside, Admiral Vex stood tall, his 4 eyes fixed on the large screen before him. "Report," Vex ordered, his voice deep and cold. A smaller alien, with blue skin and long fingers, stepped forward. "Admiral, we have found a new planet in Sector 7. It's called Earth." Vex's antennae twitched with interest. "Show me." The screen lit up with images of Earth. Blue oceans, green lands, and white clouds swirled across its surface. Vex leaned closer, his eyes narrowing. "Interesting," he murmured. "Any life forms?" "Yes, Admiral," the blue alien said. "The planet is full of life, but there's one species that seems to be in control. They call themselves humans." Vex watched as images of humans flashed on the screen. He saw cities, cars, and people going about their daily lives. A smile spread across his face, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "They look weak," Vex said. "Soft creatures with no natural defenses. This should be easy." The blue alien hesitated. "But Admiral, our scans show they have technology. They've even visited their own moon." Vex laughed, a harsh sound that made the crew flinch. "Moon visits? We've conquered entire galaxies. These humans are nothing to us." He turned to his second-in-command, a tall, thin alien named Zork. "Prepare the invasion plans. We'll take this Earth in a matter of days." Zork bowed his head. "Yes, Admiral, it will be done." As the Zarkonian fleet moved closer to Earth, they didn't know that they had already made their first mistake. They had underestimated humanity. On Earth, life went on as usual. In New York City, Sarah Johnson rushed to catch her train to work. In Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka was closing his small shop for the night. In Lagos, Adebayo Okonkwo was teaching a class of eager students. None of them knew that high above, aliens were planning to change their world forever. The first sign that something was wrong came from a small observatory in Chile. Dr. Maria Gonzalez was looking at the night sky when she noticed something strange. "That's odd," she muttered, adjusting her telescope. "Those stars are moving." She looked closer and gasped. Those weren't stars. They were ships. Huge ships, unlike anything she had ever seen. With shaking hands, she reached for her phone. "I need to speak to the president," she said urgently. "It's an emergency." Within hours, the news spread across the globe. Alien ships had entered Earth's solar system. They were heading straight for Earth. Panic gripped the world. People rushed to stores, buying food and supplies. Others tried to flee cities, causing massive traffic jams. Governments called emergency meetings. Military leaders gathered to plan Earth's defense. In Washington, D.C., the U.S. President addressed the nation. "My fellow Americans," she said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "We face a threat unlike any in human history, but we will not give up. We will not surrender. We will fight." Similar speeches were given around the world. Humanity, despite its differences, began to unite against the common threat. As the Zarkonian ships entered Earth's orbit, Admiral Vex smiled. He saw the panic, the fear. He thought victory would be easy. But he didn't see the determination in the eyes of world leaders. He didn't see the courage of soldiers preparing for battle. He didn't see the brilliant minds of scientists working on new weapons. Most of all, he didn't see the strength of the human spirit, a strength that would soon surprise him and his entire fleet. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity was ready to fight for its survival. The world held its breath as the Zarkonian ships hovered in Earth's orbit. Their massive size blocked out the sun in some areas, casting eerie shadows on the ground below. In New York, Sarah Johnson stood in Times Square, her eyes glued to the giant screens. The usual ads were gone, replaced by live footage of the alien ships. Around her, A sea of people watched in silent fear. "This can't be real," she whispered, but the ships looming in the sky told a different story. Across the globe, in Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka huddled with his family in their small apartment. His wife held their baby close, while their young son peeked out the window at the strange lights in the sky. "Dad, are we going to be okay?" the boy asked, his voice trembling. Hiroshi put on a brave face. "Yes, son. The whole world is working together now. We'll be fine." But even as he said it, Hiroshi wasn't sure he believed his own words. In Lagos, Adebayo Okonkwo organized his students into volunteer groups. They were helping to distribute food and supplies to panicked citizens. "Remember," he told them, "in times like these, we must help each other. That's what makes us human." His students nodded, their faces a mix of fear and determination. As the world's population grappled with the reality of alien contact, world leaders gathered in an emergency United Nations session. The meeting was tense, filled with heated debates and fearful whispers. The U.S. President stood to address the assembly. "We must stand united," she said firmly. "Our differences mean nothing in the face of this threat. Today, we are not Americans, Russians, Chinese, or Nigerians. We are Earthlings, and we will defend our home." Her words were met with a round of applause, but the fear in the room was palpable. Meanwhile, in secret facilities around the world, scientists and military experts worked around the clock. They studied the alien ships, trying to understand their technology and find weaknesses. Dr. Emily Chen, a brilliant physicist, stared at her computer screen in frustration. "Their technology is so advanced," she muttered. "How can we possibly fight this?" Next to her, General Mark Thompson placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We have to try, Doc. The fate of humanity depends on it." As Earth prepared for battle, Admiral Vex watched from his ship with growing impatience. "Why haven't they surrendered yet?" he growled. "Don't they see how hopeless their situation is?" Zork, his second in command, looked nervous. "Admiral, our scans show they're mobilizing their military forces. They seem to be preparing to fight." Vex laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the ship. "Let them try. It will make our victory even sweeter." He turned to his communication officer. "Send the message. Let's see how these humans respond to our demands." On Earth, every screen, radio, and communication device suddenly came to life. The alien message, translated into all Earth languages, rang out. "Humans of Earth, we are the Zarkonian Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Surrender immediately, or face total destruction. You have 1 Earth day to comply." The message sent shockwaves of fear across the globe. But something else began to stir in the hearts of humans everywhere. A fierce determination to survive, to fight back. In New York, Sarah's fear turned to anger. "We won't give up without a fight," she said to those around her. Similar sentiments echoed across the world. As the deadline approached, humanity stood at a crossroads. Would they surrender and live as slaves, or fight against impossible odds? The answer came swiftly. From every corner of the globe, the response was the same. Humans, prepare for battle. The stage was set. The greatest fight in human history was about to begin. The day of the deadline arrived. Earth's response to the Zarkonian ultimatum was clear. They would not surrender. As the final hours ticked away, the world braced for the aliens' first attack. Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship, his 4 eyes narrowed in anger. "These humans are more foolish than I thought," he growled. "Begin the attack. Show them the might of the Zarkonian Empire." On his command, the alien ships lit up with an eerie blue glow. Suddenly, beams of intense energy shot down towards Earth's major cities. In New York, Sarah Johnson watched in horror as a beam headed straight for the city. But just before it hit, a shimmering dome appeared over the skyline. The alien beam struck the dome and scattered, leaving the city unharmed. It worked. Sarah cheered along with the crowd around her. The shield actually worked. Similar scenes played out in cities across the globe. Earth scientists had worked tirelessly to create a defense system using reverse-engineered alien technology from previous, smaller encounters. It wasn't perfect, but it was holding. For now. Admiral Vex couldn't believe his eyes. "Impossible," he roared. "How could these primitives have such technology?" Zork, his second-in-command, looked worried. "Admiral, we're detecting human aircraft approaching our ships." In the skies above Earth, squadrons of fighter jets rose to meet the alien threat. Among them was Captain Miguel Rodriguez, piloting America's newest stealth fighter. "Remember your training," Miguel told his squadron over the radio. "These aliens might have advanced tech, but we have something they don't: the will to protect our home." The dogfight that followed was like nothing Earth had ever seen. Alien ships zipped through the sky, their movements defying known laws of physics. But the human pilots fought with incredible skill and bravery. Miguel's jet danced through the air, dodging alien fire while landing precise hits on the enemy ships. To everyone's surprise, the alien ships weren't invincible. They could be damaged, and they could be destroyed. On the ground, the battle was equally fierce. In Lagos, Adebayo Okonkwo led a group of volunteers in rescuing people from a damaged building. As they worked, an alien ground force appeared, their strange weapons glowing with energy. But the aliens found themselves facing an unexpected resistance. Nigerian soldiers, armed with hastily modified weapons, engaged the invaders. The aliens' superior technology was met with human ingenuity and courage. Adebayo grabbed a fallen soldier's weapon and joined the fight. "For Earth," he shouted, rallying those around him. In Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka worked frantically in a makeshift lab. He and other engineers were adapting Earth's satellites to interfere with alien communications. It was dangerous work. The lab had already been hit once by alien fire, but they couldn't stop. "Almost there," Hiroshi muttered, his fingers flying over the keyboard. With a final click, he activated the system. "It's done." Across the globe, alien ships suddenly seemed to falter. Their movements became erratic, their attacks less coordinated. On the Zarkonian flagship, Admiral Vex was in a rage. "What's happening? Why can't we communicate with our ground forces?" Zork's voice was shaky as he replied. "Admiral, the humans have found a way to jam our signals. We're losing control of the battle." As the first day of combat drew to a close, the outcome was far from what the Zarkonians had expected. Earth had bloodied the nose of the invading force. Cities still stood. The human military had proven to be a worthy opponent, and most importantly, the human spirit remained unbroken. In New York, Sarah helped tend to wounded soldiers in a makeshift hospital. In Lagos, Adebayo continued to lead rescue efforts. In Tokyo, Hiroshi worked on improving their signal jamming technology. Across the world, humans were stepping up, fighting back, and proving that they would not go quietly into the night. The battle for Earth had only just begun, but humanity had shown that it was far from defeated. The Zarkonians were about to learn a harsh lesson: never underestimate the human spirit. As the war entered its second week, the initial shock of the alien invasion had worn off. In its place, a fierce determination took root in the hearts of people around the world. Humanity was not just surviving, it was fighting back. In a hidden underground bunker, Dr. Emily Chen worked tirelessly on a new project. She had been studying the remains of a downed alien ship, and what she found excited her. "General Thompson," she called out, her eyes bright with discovery. "I think I've found something." The general hurried over, his face lined with exhaustion but his eyes alert. "What is it, Doc?" Emily pointed to her computer screen. "They're ship's energy shields. I think I know how to bring them down." Meanwhile, in the skies above Paris, Captain Miguel Rodriguez led another daring raid against the alien fleet. His squadron had become known as the Earth's Avengers, their skills in the cockpit becoming legendary. Target in sight, Miguel said into his radio. Remember, aim for the weak spot we discovered. Let's show these aliens what Earth's best can do. The fighters swooped in, their new weapons, designed based on Emily's research, glowing with energy. As they fired, the alien ship's shields flickered and failed. For the first time, humanity had a real chance against the invaders' superior technology. In New York, Sarah Johnson had transformed from a regular office worker into a resistance leader. She organized supply runs, coordinated with the military, and kept people's hopes alive. We're not just fighting for our lives, she told a group of volunteers. We're fighting for our right to exist, to be free. Remember that when things get tough. Across the ocean in Lagos, Adebayo Okonkwo had turned his school into a command center. He worked with local military to coordinate defense strategies, using his knowledge of the city to outsmart the alien ground forces. One day, as Adebayo was planning a counterattack, a young student burst into the room. "Sir, the aliens, they're retreating from the city." Adebayo rushed to the window. Sure enough, he saw alien ships rising into the sky, leaving Lagos behind. A cheer went up from the people in the streets. Similar scenes were playing out in cities around the world. The Zarkonians, facing unexpected resistance, were pulling back to regroup. On the Zarkonian flagship, Admiral Vex was in a foul mood. "How?" he roared. "How are these primitive beings defeating us?" Zork, looking more nervous than ever, replied, "Admiral, it seems we severely underestimated the humans' ability to adapt. They're learning our technology, finding our weaknesses, and their spirit. It's unlike anything we've encountered before." Vex slammed his fist on the control panel. "I will not be defeated by these humans. Prepare our ultimate weapon. We'll wipe them out once and for all." But even as the Zarkonians planned their next move, humanity's unity grew stronger. Countries that were once enemies now fought side by side. Scientists from around the world shared their discoveries freely. The human spirit, once awakened, proved to be a force more powerful than any alien technology. In Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka had a breakthrough of his own. Using the signal jamming technology he had developed, he found a way to intercept and translate Zarkonian communications. "We can understand them now," he told his team, his voice filled with excitement. "We can predict their moves, maybe even feed them false information." As news of these developments spread, hope blossomed anew. Humanity was no longer just resisting. It was pushing back. In a global broadcast, the U.S. President addressed the world. "My fellow Earthlings, we have faced our greatest challenge, and we have not faltered. The road ahead is still long and difficult, but make no mistake, we are turning the tide. Humanity will prevail." Her words were met with cheers and renewed determination across the globe. The Zarkonians had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they would face the full might of a united Earth. The human spirit had been tested, and it had risen to the challenge. The battle was far from over, but for the first time since the invasion began, victory seemed possible. Humanity was ready to take the fight to the stars. 3 months into the war, Earth had become a changed world. The initial panic had given way to a global sense of purpose. Humanity had not only survived the Zarkonian onslaught, but was now actively pushing back against the alien invaders. In a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Emily Chen stood before a group of world leaders. Her eyes gleamed with excitement as she unveiled her latest creation. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, pulling a sheet off a sleek, metallic object, "I present to you the XK-1000, Earth's first reverse-engineered alien fighter." The room erupted in gasps and murmurs of amazement. General Thompson stepped forward, his weathered face breaking into a rare smile. "You've done it, Doc. You've actually done it." Meanwhile, high above the Earth's atmosphere, Captain Miguel Rodriguez floated in zero gravity, overseeing the construction of humanity's first space station. Built using salvaged alien technology, It would serve as a forward base for Earth's new space fleet. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" he said to his co-pilot, Sarah Johnson, who had traded her resistance leadership role for a spot in Earth's fledgling space program. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the blue planet below. "To think, just a few months ago, we were fighting for survival. Now we're reaching for the stars." But even as humanity celebrated these victories, the Zarkonians were far from defeated. Admiral Vex, driven to desperation by the unexpected resistance, had retreated to the far side of the moon to prepare his ultimate weapon. "The humans think they've won," he snarled to his crew. "But they have no idea what's coming for them." Back on Earth, in Lagos, Adebayo Okonkwo had turned his attention to a new challenge. Working with a team of international scientists, he was developing a global early warning system to detect and predict Zarkonian attacks. "If we can anticipate their moves," he explained to his team, "we can be one step ahead of them at all times." In Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka's breakthrough in alien communication had led to an even more startling discovery. He had found a way to communicate with individual Zarkonians, and what he learned shocked him. "Not all of them want this war," he reported to the United Earth Council. "There's dissent in their ranks. Some of them believe this invasion is wrong." This information opened up new possibilities. Could humanity find allies among the Zarkonians themselves? As these developments unfolded, the tide of the war continued to turn. Earth's new fighters, piloted by the best from every nation, began to push the Zarkonian fleet back. The aliens found themselves outmaneuvered and outfought at every turn. Admiral Vex watched in disbelief as another of his ships fell to Earth's forces. "Impossible," he roared. "How can these humans be defeating us?" Zork, his loyal second-in-command, finally spoke up. "Admiral, perhaps it's time to consider that we may have made a mistake. These humans, they're unlike any species we've encountered before." Vex turned on him, his four eyes blazing with fury. "Defeat is not an option, Zork. Prepare the annihilator. We'll wipe out these troublesome humans once and for all." But even as Vex plotted Earth's destruction, seeds of doubt began to sprout among his crew. The humans' resourcefulness, their unity in the face of overwhelming odds, had made an impression. Some Zarkonians began to question whether this war was just. On Earth, preparations for the final push were underway. The XK-1000 fighters were rolling off production lines. The space station neared completion. And in labs and command centers around the world, humans worked tirelessly to secure their victory. Sarah, looking out at Earth from the space station, felt a swell of pride. "We've come so far," she said to Miguel. "But the real battle is still ahead of us." Miguel nodded, his face set with determination. "Whatever the Zarkonians throw at us next, we'll be ready. Earth isn't just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting for our future among the stars." As the final confrontation loomed, humanity stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The war had changed them, made them stronger. And now, they were prepared to take the fight to the enemy, to secure their place in the galaxy once and for all. The day of the final battle arrived. Earth's forces, led by their new fleet of XK-1000 fighters, prepared to launch an all-out assault on the Zarkonian stronghold on the far side of the moon. Captain Miguel Rodriguez stood before his pilots in the space station's hangar. "Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for the future of humanity," he said, his voice strong and clear. "Remember your training, watch out for each other, and let's show these aliens what humans are made of." A cheer went up from the assembled pilots. Among them was Sarah Johnson, her eyes shining with determination. She had come a long way from being a New York office worker to becoming one of Earth's top space pilots. As the Earth fleet prepared to launch, Dr. Emily Chen worked frantically in her lab. She had discovered a potential weakness in the Zarkonians' ultimate weapon, the annihilator, but time was running out to exploit it. "Just a few more calculations," she muttered, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Come on. Meanwhile, On the Zarkonian flagship, Admiral Vex was also preparing for the final confrontation. "The Annihilator is ready," he announced to his crew. "Today, we will wipe out these troublesome humans once and for all." But not all the Zarkonians shared his enthusiasm. Zork, along with a growing number of the alien crew, had begun to question the war. The humans' resilience and unity had made a deep impression on them. As the Earth fleet approached the moon, tensions reached a fever pitch. Miguel led the first wave of XK-1000s, their sleek forms gliding through space with a grace that belied their deadly purpose. "Enemy ships incoming." Sarah's voice crackled over the comm. Evasive maneuvers. The space around the moon erupted into chaos. Earth fighters clashed with Zarkonian ships in a dazzling display of lights and explosions. The humans' new technology, combined with their fierce determination, allowed them to hold their own against the alien forces. Back on Earth, Adebayo Okonkwo coordinated the global defense network. "We're detecting a massive energy buildup on the far side of the moon," he reported urgently. "They're powering up the Annihilator." In Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka made a desperate attempt to reach out to the Zarkonian dissenters. "This is your chance," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Help us stop this war before it's too late." As the battle raged, Dr. Chen finally had her breakthrough. "I've got it," she shouted, immediately transmitting the data to the Earth fleet. "Target these coordinates to disable the Annihilator." Miguel received the transmission and immediately relayed the orders. "All ships, focus fire on these coordinates. It's our only chance." The Earth fleet converged on the location, unleashing everything they had. For a moment, it seemed like their efforts were in vain. Then suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the Zarkonian base. "Direct hit," Sarah yelled. "The Annihilator is down." On the Zarkonian flagship, alarms blared as systems failed. Admiral Vex stared in disbelief at the destruction of his ultimate weapon. "No, this can't be happening." It was at this moment that Zork made his decision. He turned to the Admiral, his voice firm. "Sir, it's over. We must surrender." Vex turned on him in fury, but before he could speak, other crew members stepped forward, supporting Zork. The Admiral found himself outnumbered by his own people. As the Zarkonian fleet began to stand down, cheers erupted throughout the Earth forces. Miguel and Sarah embraced in their cockpits, tears of joy streaming down their faces. "We did it," Miguel said, his voice choked with emotion. "We actually did it." On Earth, celebrations broke out in every city. Adebayo hugged his team in Lagos, while in Tokyo, Hiroshi and his colleagues wept with relief. As the dust settled, humanity faced a new dawn. They had not only survived but triumphed, proving their worth among the stars. The war was over, but humanity's journey was just beginning. The final message broadcast across Earth, and to the surrendering Zarkonian fleet, summed it up perfectly. "Today marks not the end, but a new beginning. Together, we step into a future among the stars." 5 years had passed since the end of the Zarkonian War. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined before the invasion. The planet was no longer just a blue marble floating in space, but a shining beacon of unity and technological advancement. On a clear day in New York, Sarah Johnson stood on the observation deck of the newly built Galactic Peace Center. She smiled as she watched a mixed group of humans and Zarkonians enter the building below. Who would have thought? She mused to herself. 5 years ago, we were mortal enemies. Now we're working together to explore the stars. In Lagos, Adebayo Okonkwo was preparing for another day at the International Space Academy. Once a simple schoolteacher, he now trained the next generation of Earth's space explorers, both human and alien. "Remember," he told his class, a mix of eager human and Zarkonian students, "the key to our future is understanding and cooperation. We are stronger together than we ever were apart." Meanwhile, in orbit around Mars, Captain Miguel Rodriguez oversaw the construction of humanity's first off-world colony. The red planet's surface bustled with activity as terraforming machines, developed with Zarkonian help, worked to make the alien world habitable. Progress report, Dr. Chen. Miguel called over the comlink. Dr. Emily Chen's voice crackled back, filled with excitement. The atmosphere processors are working better than expected, Captain. At this rate, we'll have breathable air on the surface within a decade. Back on Earth, in Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka put the finishing touches on a new translation device. It could instantly translate any known alien language, breaking down the last barriers of communication between species. With this, he said to his team, holding up the small, sleek device, we'll be able to talk to any new alien races we meet out there. No more misunderstandings, no more wars based on failed communication. The device was just one of many innovations born from the collaboration between humans and their former enemies. Zarkonian technology, combined with human ingenuity, had propelled Earth into a new golden age. In a surprising turn of events, the former Admiral Vex had become one of the strongest advocates for peace. After seeing the error of his ways, he now worked tirelessly to promote understanding between species. I was wrong about humans, he admitted in a global broadcast. Their strength isn't in their weapons or technology, but in their spirit, their ability to unite, to forgive, to always strive for a better future. It's a lesson my people will never forget. Zork, now the Zarkonian ambassador to Earth, nodded in agreement. Our two species have much to learn from each other. Together, we can achieve greatness beyond our wildest dreams. As Earth extended its reach into the solar system and beyond, new challenges arose. Strange signals from distant stars hinted at other alien civilizations. Some seemed friendly, others potentially hostile. But this time, humanity was ready. United and stronger than ever, with powerful allies by their side, humans faced the future with confidence and hope. The International Space Fleet, a joint human-Zarkonian force, stood ready to defend Earth and its colonies, while also serving as a symbol of peace and cooperation. Sarah, looking out at the bustling city below, felt a sense of pride and excitement. We've come so far, she thought, but our greatest adventures are still ahead of us. As if echoing her thoughts, a bright light streaked across the sky. The launch of another starship, heading out to explore the unknown reaches of space. In schools across the planet, children learned about the war not as a tale of destruction, but as a story of resilience, unity, and the indomitable human spirit. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope and determination could light the way to a brighter future. As the sun set on another day in this new era, the people of Earth looked to the stars with wonder and anticipation. The message that had once rallied humanity to fight, humans, prepare for battle, had transformed into a new call, one that would guide them into the future. Humans, prepare for adventure. The galaxy awaited, and humanity was ready to take its place among the stars.